All right, and we're live. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Rescue Podcast. I think this should be the intro for that
I should.
one.
I'm
Just me
gonna work on
singing.
that dance. It's gonna be even better next time. It's gonna be really good.
Oh, man. All right, so we've got a very personal topic to talk about today, something that I never thought in a million years would ever happen to me. It was incredibly shocking, incredibly heartbreaking, devastating. Really just effed up on so many levels that I can't even begin to process.
Mm.
So Erin and I obviously had a little bit of a chat about it, but we didn't really go into too much depth because we were like, well, why don't we just do a podcast about it and talk about it and
Right.
share this experience with you all?
Yep.
So
So
yeah,
you told me a little bit about it through text. So text is always you don't always get all the info on text, but the
yeah.
fires were going on. You were nervous about your hamsters, right?
Yeah, so
Um,
it happened around the LA fire time. So, and it's funny because I made a post about that and everybody was like messaging me saying, "Oh my God, that is like so smart of you that you did this." So now I'm like, "Meh."
yeah, but you did what you thought was best. I would have done it too. It was such a
Yeah.
effed up time.
So essentially, what happened, guys, is that this was around the LA fires. I was kind of close by the fires, and there was like a bit of a risk that the fires were going to come to my house. And essentially, I have, if you've been following the podcast, you know that I have 32 animals in my care. And a lot of those are hamsters. So I have 21 hamsters, had. Um, so if you know anything about hamsters is that they're solitary animals, so you can't just like, I was always thinking about what happens in an evacuation kind of situation, right? What am I going to do, because some of the cages are big and they're separated, like they have three different spaces for three different hamsters, but so they can't get into each other's spaces. And then I have smaller cages, I have containers. I mean, 21 hamsters is a lot. They need a certain amount of space because they need to burrow, they need to, have a little bit of exercise. I do let them out though in my room. That's a whole other thing.
Do they get
And
lost?
what's that?
Do they get lost?
No, they come up to me. They're like super friendly. It's one of them I do not, because she will like completely disappear and I'll never see her
Yeah,
again. But all my other hamsters, they're amazing. They just
they're
like,
smart.
yeah, I can hold them. And even when I take them to the vet, they're like putting gloves on just because I'm like, no, they don't bite. They're like super
Yeah.
friendly. They're like, look at me like I'm crazy, because usually hamsters are like a little feisty.
You got good ones.
No, they're just chill and they're just holding them. They're kissing them, and they're like,
Mm,
that's unusual. I'm like, yeah.
yeah. Well, they know you're a good person.
Yeah, oh, there he is, Pluto. Oh, hi, honey. Um, so essentially what happened is that by the way, I want to make this very, very clear. This rescue that I have worked with, I've worked with in the past. So it's not like it's just somebody that I found online. It's not like this was just one-off event. This is someone that I trusted, somebody that to me seemed somewhat responsible as far as I could see. I've been to their house, I've seen their rescue. And so we had to evacuate. And long story short, this person made a post on their social media saying if anybody needs help with their hamsters, like for housing, because they have to evacuate because of the fires, let me know. And I'm thinking, perfect.
Hmm.
So I messaged this person and I was like, hey, I don't know if the fires are going to come here. And I would rather my hamsters be in a space where basically they are going to be safe, so I don't have to worry about like last minute emergency having to like figure out how to like
Yeah.
pack 21 hamsters in separate cages. And I always thought, well, if worst comes to worst, I'm just going to have to put them into male and females and they can just fight
Yep.
it out, but they could kill each other, so it's like, what do
It's a
you do,
lose
right?
lose kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's, if you have time it's great, but if you're in an emergency and you have to run out, I mean, 32 animals, you just do what you
No.
can. So she it's a woman. Now I said it. She basically said, "Yeah, fine. That's, yeah, absolutely, I can help you." So I drove to her house that day because we were evacuating for the day just in case the fires were going to come near. And she wasn't at home, so she said, "Just leave it in my garage. I can open up the garage and you can leave them there, and I'll place them away." And I'm like, "Oh, amazing! Thank you so much, lifesaver." I'm thinking, what a nice thing to do, right? Of course, I was going to give her some money, of course, but that we didn't discuss it or anything. But I was obviously going to do it later. I've donated money to her before. She's given me a ton of supplies and like helped me with cages and bottles and wheels and like bedding. Like she's been just super helpful in the past.
Yeah.
And she has a lot of hamsters already. She has almost like 200 hamsters in her care.
Jeez.
Yeah, she has a lot. So I'm thinking she knows what she's doing, right? All good. Now, a week passes by because we're still at the risk with the fires and everything. And I'm checking in throughout the week. I'm
Hmm.
messaging her, hey, is everything okay? The fires are still like this. And every time she's messaging me back, basically saying, hey, they can stay here for as long as you want. So what I'm
Right.
receiving here, information wise, is like, this is not a problem. It's not stressful for me. All is well.
Hmm.
So I'm thinking, great, but I checked in 3 times in one week.
Yeah.
And then it comes to Friday, and I was like, hey, I can come and pick him up this weekend. The fires have subsided. Looks like we're safe. And I thought I was going to go on Sunday, and I'm so glad I went on Saturday. And and then Saturday, I said, actually, no, I can come tomorrow. She's like, amazing. So we drive there. I'm filming myself, by the way, so excited to go and pick up my
Yeah.
babies. I miss them. The room was so quiet without them because if you know anything about them, like you can hear little munches and like the wheels running. Sometimes, you hear them squeak or whatever. And so I get there, and as soon as I get there, I could see something was wrong. Her face was just like something was wrong. And so I get out of the car. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" And she's like, "There's been a problem."
Ugh. Been a problem. So it's ongoing, sounds like.
And I'm
Total.
like, "Oh, okay, what?" And I'm thinking maybe one of them got sick, or one of them got injured. Maybe one of them ran out of the cage. I'm thinking so many options here.
Yeah.
She looks at me and she goes, "3 of your hamsters have died."
Did she say when they died? Like this is what blows
She
my
and
mind.
then she goes, "I just noticed."
Just noticed. Oh wow. Okay. So she was not watching them at all. And they died
And you
they
can imagine, of course, I'm arriving. Well, here's the thing, because like when you first get there, like it takes you time to absorb the information to process what
right.
I'm like 3. Like I'm thinking, what happened? Did something fall on the cages? Like I'm thinking so many things, right? I'm thinking, not thinking what it is that it was.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay. And of course, I'm like, my heart just sunk down to the bottom of the pit of hell because I'm so close to these babies. I mean, yeah, I have a lot of them, and they're just hamsters of people. But like, I rescued these guys. Like, you know. Anyway, and she was like, I think what happened is that the water bottles must have knocked over, and essentially they died of dehydration. And I'm thinking, how?
Do
Like,
they drink a lot of water?
not really. I mean, yeah, they drink, but like they can go maybe like 3 days without water,
Yeah.
and then they have repercussions. So I'm thinking, how did you not check? Like, okay. And so like now the pieces are starting coming together. And so I was like, and she was like, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. And I'm thinking, my husband being so nice, and I actually got mad at him later. He was like, I'm shocked that you didn't go off. And I was like, I was in shock. Like, I also didn't think it was conducive in that moment to have like an
Mhm.
argument with somebody. I was like, my priority at that point was like, get them out now, the ones that were
Yeah.
still alive.
And
And so
fair enough.
I was just kind of like thinking, and he was like, oh, yeah, it happens. I'm thinking, no, this fucking thing doesn't happen. This is not an accident. This
No.
something happened here. 3 of them, maybe one, but
Hmm.
3,
Yeah.
which by the way turned out almost 5. So 2 of them were really bad shape once I got them
Ugh.
back. And I'm thinking, okay. And so I go in, and she wrapped them in tissue papers. And I'm like, this whole time I'm trying so hard not to cry. And she keeps saying, I'm sorry. And I'm like, whatever, let's just get the rest of them in my car. And then as I'm processing everything, I'm like, I saw one of their bottles and the water was down to here.
Yeah.
So what happened? She completely neglected them. Now, the water bottles can get knocked over. If you see how the cages are set up, it's possible.
Hmm.
But they were there for 1 week. For an animal to starve to death or of dehydration means that you had not either checked up on them for at least 3 to 4 days.
That's crazy.
They usually have kibble. So kibble lasts for them at least a week.
Yeah.
So this means this woman grabbed these things, put them there, and never once checked their water, checked their
Yep.
food, checked up on them. and I gave him in your care. So the least I would do if somebody, I'm gonna check up. Hey, do you
Oh my
have
God,
water?
I
Do
would
you
feel
have
like
food?
such a jerk if something happened if I was watching someone's
Dude,
animal.
it's very basic one-on-one care. You know what I mean? Also, if you were overwhelmed, call me, message me. Hey, I'm overwhelmed. Do you mind coming checking up on them or feeding them? Like there were so many fucking options.
Many.
Anyway, and then I get home and then I realized two more of them were so thin and emaciated.
How?
They were like one of them was basically like falling over because he was about to die. That's why I was lucky I got him the day before. And then the
Yeah.
minute I gave him he like as soon as I put food in there, he went to town on the food. He drank so much water. Had to give him electrolytes and all this sort of stuff. Now they're all happy and well, but like on the drive back, I screamed in the car. Like
Yeah.
I let out this primal mother bear scream. Like my husband was just so shocked because I had so all of a sudden everything started clicking and I was like, I realized what had happened. And of course, then the guilt that I trusted this person, thinking that I was doing the right thing. I was hoping, and I basically sent them to a horrible death, a very painful, slow, horrible
Wow.
death.
You
I know
didn't
it
know.
wasn't my fault, but at the same time, that's how you feel. I was trying
Right.
to save them from anything happening, and then this happened and I just let out this primal scream and like I was like screaming in the car because I was so angry and just so frustrated and so hurt and just so
Mhm.
disappointed you know and I didn't say anything to her after that because I was like I just need to process what the hell just happened, and then long story short I still haven't even said anything to her because I'm like I know she knows she fucked up. I
Yeah.
know she knows she did something really bad because she was feeling really bad. I don't think she's a terrible person. I think she's a person with a lot of issues who hasn't
Mhm.
addressed her issues. And so this is the topic that I really wanted to talk about because it seems to be actually a theme in rescue, where a lot of the people who work in rescue are people who have real problems,
Mhm.
serious problem, mental problems, health problems. And she has a lot of health problems, by the way. And the other rescue that I work with, same thing. The lady has a lot of mental problems and health problems. So it seems a bit of a theme here. And I think what happens is that these people don't address their problems and they end up projecting, trying to rescue themselves through these animals. But if you don't know
Mhm.
how to take care of yourself, your
Right.
mental health and your health, how do you expect yourself to be taking proper care of these animals?
Mhm.
And
Right,
so
and
I
I
think
wonder why she didn't like watch. Why was she not paying attention? Was she like dealing with a mental issue herself? Was she
that's what I'm
depressed? Was she
thinking.
on
I
the
think
couch?
she was overwhelmed. I think she
Yeah.
had a lot going on. And I think she just felt maybe she didn't have time to even check up on them because I
Mhm.
mean, I'm sorry, but like a hamster is like the most basic thing.
It
What
sounds
else
easy.
is there kibble good, walk away. It's not like you have to walk them. It's not like you have to, I
Right.
do. I give them fresh food every night. I go beyond for these guys, So, and then I remember watching this guy on TikTok who worked in rescue who actually said this, and he said it is like this is why I don't know if you've ever heard of the drama that happens in rescues, like how many like rescues go after other rescues, and there's
Mhm.
like this whole dark side of this community that's
Right.
happening. When really they should just be focusing on working together,
Mhm.
and so many rescues neglecting the animals, starving the
Yeah.
animals. So yeah.
It's I know by working at the or working volunteering at the shelter that I volunteer at that they've gone through a lot of employees too because they have like a similar thing where you just knew if that one employee was there that the dog they weren't cleaning up shit or the dog wasn't going to get fed more than once a day, just basic things that you're supposed to be doing. Which is terrible. And then there was a time where I was at the shelter just to go, take the dogs out and hang out with them. And this one person that was known for this was there, and a family comes in and they're like, "Oh, we're looking for a dog. Oh, we don't really have anything." I'm like, "Are you kidding?" And I'm so glad I was there because I was like, "Actually, there's a lot of great dogs. Let me go introduce you." And I'm like, "I don't even like you get paid to do this."
Yeah.
Anyway,
I
no,
mean,
I'm
they
with
probably
you.
don't get paid a lot, but still, you could be
Right.
working at freaking McDonald's and probably get paid the same.
Yeah, but then he should go to McDonald's and work there. But no, your story is next level terrible because you should be able to trust people. If they say they can do something, if they say they can take care of your animal, then they should be able to do that.
This is also somebody who offered. It's not like I went to
Mhm.
them and asked for help.
Or begged.
No. This is
Yeah.
somebody who offered housing, and she knew I had a lot of hamsters because, like I said, I've been working with this person, so it's not like it's a new thing. Um,
Ugh.
yeah, so I don't know. What do you guys think? Because and I had a lot of people asking me who was the rescue, right? Because now it's like, oh, we don't want to. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
listen, for most, very few people work with hamsters anyway. So,
Ugh.
um, but I mean, I'm sure you can find it if you look back at my stories because I do talk about her and I thank her in my videos for helping me rescue these guys. But again, I don't think that she's a bad person. I think that she's just somebody with a lot of problems. I know she has a lot of health problems,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, she's obviously either, sometimes when people are also too nice, they don't know how to ask for help. And they don't know how to ask, hey, I actually cannot take these guys on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but that would have been a much, much better option than just completely freaking neglecting them, which at
Yeah.
the end of the day, I have sympathy for you, but at the same time, you're an adult. This is your
Mm-hmm.
responsibility. You gotta fix your shit. Like, you cannot take in somebody's babies and completely starve them. And then it makes me think about her hamsters. And I'm thinking, if you're treated my hamsters this way, what are you doing to yours? And
Yeah.
so now I'm left with this dilemma. It's like, do I or do I not say who they are? Do I? Because at the same time, she is doing good work because the hamsters are not really cared for at all.
Yeah.
They're not really like, if you think dogs are bad, imagine how bad hamsters and rats and mice are.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, what do you do at this point? If somebody asked me directly, I would tell them, but I just don't want
Yeah.
to blast out somebody back. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you do?
Have you thought about having a conversation with her? Just like calling her up and being like, listen, I'm, obviously upset about what happened, but I'd like to know, what happened, why it happened.
That's her
I
problem,
would
though.
like
At the end of the
to
day, I don't feel like it's going to change the outcome of what
Mhm.
happened. I know what happened. I can
Yeah.
see what happened, and I thought about it, but then I was like, I don't feel like I'm going to get anything out of that. I already know what happened.
Yeah.
I already know she knows she neglected them. She already
Yeah.
apologized. And I think and I know she feels bad about it because I think she realized that she effed up big time. Obviously three of them died. It is like nothing worse than that. At least all of them weren't dead.
Yeah.
That would be even
Oh
worse.
God. Does she have help? Like, did she
She
have
has
any?
she has a husband.
Okay.
So that's the other
Sorry.
thing I don't understand. It's like my husband helps me feed all my hamsters and stuff
Right.
because it's a bit of a chore. Every night we give
Tell
them
me about
fresh food, prepare it, feed the dogs, feed
it.
the
Hmm.
hamsters, feed the rats, feed the mice. But I also do it by myself. It's not a problem, but I make
Yeah.
sure that every day they're taken care of. Um, so yeah, so again, and again, I don't think that it's going to make it. This is not about me anymore because I've learned my lesson in this, which is I'm never going to trust anybody again except for my
Hmm.
friend who lives up the street because she's taken care of them before.
Yeah.
If this happens again, I'm just going to have to set up in such a way where I can evacuate them in a much quicker way. Just set it up so
Hmm.
this doesn't happen again, where I again have to trust somebody else.
Right.
And the lesson for me was if you think that somebody's going to care or value the animals the way that you do, it's just not going to happen.
Never. See, and this makes me sad because our dog sitter, who we love, is moving to California. And the dogs are the dogs are so used to him. The dogs love him.
Yeah.
Like we're friends with him and his whole
I mean,
family.
if you find somebody amazing, great, But even out when we came back with our dogs, we had so many issues with our dogs with the dog sitter. It's like
Yeah.
my dog got ringworms,
Oof.
which means she had ringworms and she gave it to my
Mhm.
dog,
Oh,
and now I
boy.
have it on my leg because obviously I'm like, well, who cares? I mean, I'm not too worried about this stuff. It's just a little itchy.
Yeah. It
But
goes
I'm
away.
like, whatever, they're my babies. I don't care. But
Yeah.
like, we can treat it as well. It's not the end of the world.
Exactly.
But for them, it's expensive because then you have to
Mhm.
go to the vet, then you have to give them the freaking medication. And so every time this happens, it's like you trust these people. It's hard, because
Mhm.
they're saying that they're taking care of them and stuff, but at the same time,
It's never the same way that you're doing it. I literally like I look like a psychopath, but before our dog sitter comes, I put like giant bright pink sticky notes on like everything. Like be careful that Foxy doesn't run outside because she likes to run
yeah.
outside. Like
Well, especially
don't
when you
leave
have that many as well. Like you've got 10
Yeah.
dogs, right? So each one has a
Yeah.
personality. Each one, imagine
Mhm.
even just taking care of one dog can be quite a lot, So
Yes.
10 with big personalities.
They're
Yeah.
yeah, they're all nuts.
Yeah, like my rats and my mice, I don't leave them with friends because one of them, Augustina, she's like a character and she'll bite. My rats, I mean, not many people know how to take care of rats. You know what I
No,
mean?
I
So
would have no
I take them to the other lady who I know, who I work with,
clue. Hmm.
and But again, I know she has health issues and other issues, and she's lovely, by the way. I mean, she was shocked when I told her about the hamsters. Like, she was like, because she worked with this person before too, so
Yeah.
she was so shocked. Um, but I had to tell her, I was like, dude, like, she did. Like, here's the photos of the dead hamsters. Like, this is, look at this one. He's emaciated and he's so skinny. You could see his whole spine.
Mm,
And I'm like, she did this. Like,
it's
facts are
crazy.
facts.
That's like the one thing you don't forget to do. Like, okay, maybe you forgot to clean up some shit. Maybe you,
I,
you know,
I mean,
but to not
also,
feed them,
hamsters, you spot clean for the most part, and you maybe change their cages once a month completely.
yeah,
You
easy
spot
peasy.
clean. That's it. Because they actually prefer to have their scent and their smell in the cage because they actually get
Hmm.
like anxious. Probably not mine because mine don't give a fuck, but like most hamsters do. Mine are so chill. They're just like, whatever. Thanks, mom. All
Oh,
fresh. They don't care. But usually that's what you're supposed to do because they're very territorial. That's why they're
mhm.
aggressive towards each other. Um, yeah, man, and it's just like it's just concerning. And even a few times when I had that debate on TikTok with this guy who said I worked in a shelter and I still would not adopt a dog from a shelter. That is a huge red flag again. It's like
I don't
somebody
get
who
it.
I'm like, you have mental issues.
Hmm.
And so let's just even take it outside of animal rescue. Think about any other rescue. When you
Hmm.
work in any other like hospitals and you work in anywhere where there's beings, animals, humans that are vulnerable, for some reason it attracts people who have a lot of problems. I mean, think about the church with all the young boys, like
Oh,
so
yeah.
many things. I've worked in mental health and like the people who
Hmm.
I worked with had a lot of issues themselves. So it seems to be this like rehab. I've worked in rehab as well, and a lot of the people that run the rehabs are ex-addicts themselves. Some of them
Yeah.
are great, but a lot of them are still dealing with their own crap, and they easily
Mhm.
can relapse and then bring everybody down with them. It's like we suck.
Yeah, no, I get. I think it might be like a sense of power. Like I did notice that with some people that work at shelters and stuff too. Like they want to feel powerful. I don't know why you would feel want to feel powerful over an animal, but it makes them gives them
Well,
like a
because they
sense
feel so
of strength.
powerless in their daily life, probably.
Yeah.
So again, that's why they go towards somebody that is very hopeless and that
Hmm.
needs it's completely reliant on you, and you have complete control and power. It's basically
Yeah.
you're playing God. Because if
Right.
you're not nurturing them, they die.
Hmm. So sad. The shelter is a very sad place.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
like I'm happy when I'm there. I'm happy when I'm, taking the dogs out and they're enjoying life, but when I put them back, I want to cry.
Oh yeah, that's why I can't do it. I mean, I still visit, but
It's so sad. This is why we
I
have
tried
so
to
many.
foster as well, and like fostering is very difficult because
Mhm.
it's just the right place and thing. And like since they passed away, I was like maybe I would love to foster just to feel a little bit better because also my medical bills are eh, piling up. I already spent
Of
close to
course.
$4,000 this year on all my hamsters and rats.
It's a lot.
Another one has to get an operation tomorrow because his eye is like out
I saw
here.
that.
Hmm.
He's on antibiotics though, right?
It's not doing anything. They have to
Mm.
remove
Is it like a dropper?
all of it. Trust me. He's on
Oh,
droppers, antibiotics, anti-inflammatories.
poor baby.
His eye is still like it's full
What
of like
what
I can't
happened?
even. It's so gross. So, but that's at least going to be $1,000. And I
Yeah,
already spent a hundred and something just getting on the medications and stuff.
it's a
So
lot.
it's a lot, and that's another reason why I think like it gets too much as well. And I think there's this such a thing as well when people work in rescue, they get desensitized
Hmm.
because you see so much tragedy and so much trauma that you just, I mean, imagine even just working in a hospital, right? You're seeing people dying all the time or dealing with trauma, people bleeding and all that. Eventually you're just going to get desensitized because that's just your daily, like your body cannot process this amount of trauma that's happening.
Yeah,
And I'm assuming in rescue, it's kind of the same thing. People are just so used to seeing animals being beaten, starved, tortured, whatever it is, neglected,
yeah.
crying, and at some point, I think that they just shut off too because they're like, I can't
It's tough.
process what is really happening.
Yeah, this is why like the people that I'm close with that work at the rescue that have been there for a long time or the shelter, they have so many dogs. They have like up to 16 dogs because they feel for them. Just that's I mean that's how we are too. We feel bad, so
Yeah.
we take them home, but they see them every day and some of these dogs are just kind of unadoptable. So they'll bring them
Right.
home.
Yeah. And I think that's the other thing, though, we should really point out as well is that, yes, there is a lot of bad people in these worlds, but there's also like the complete opposite. They're complete heroes and
Yeah,
angels and kind hearted, really well intentioned people. But I think those are the people who have done the work on themselves. Those are the people who are
yeah,
made the decision. It's like when I took on these animals, even my hamsters, $1,000 to give them the operation. Most people put the hamster down because it's
I
cheaper,
know.
right? They don't want to pay for it. And the vet even suggested, and I looked at him and I said, mate, I made this commitment.
Hmm.
These are my babies. That is literally going to have to be the last option. So if we
Yeah.
have to give the operation, and he was like, great, he was happy that I did it. But I don't blame him either because, again, he's like, it's $1,000 for a hamster. They live for like 2 years. What's the point? Even the rats, it's like, no,
Right.
these are my children. Like, no,
And most people like,
my rat is my child.
no, I love that. See, but most people don't feel that way about like
Do you have
small
children? Yes, it's a rat.
rats. Oh, his name's Rat.
I'm a rat mom.
That's okay. He loves you. You could tell.
Yeah, man. So I really like, and I understand again why people do it and why they're desensitized. I get that, but at the same time, I still think it's wrong.
Yeah. No, I get it.
Um, and people can do it towards other humans as well. That's basically the
Mhm.
same it's the same mechanism that happens. They just get detached and they don't see
Yeah.
themselves in the animal. They just see them as
Mhm.
something separate.
Yeah.
So,
Especially smaller ones.
yeah. So it was really devastating, but I gave him a beautiful burial. I stayed with him. I cried. I feel like I really got it out of my system. That's why I'm not as emotional. I'm still like sad.
Yeah. I mean, it was shocking too. So it was a lot.
It honestly, here's my rat with the bad eye.
Hi,
He's looking at
Rat.
me right now with one eye. He's like,
Oh my God. He's like, when's the surgery?
yeah, tomorrow,
Need a,
baby, tomorrow morning. I'm
need a
sorry,
little
but you're gonna have to
outlet.
do it. It's so bad.
Poor
Um,
baby.
Yeah, so I gave him the burial, and it's funny because it's kind of funny, not funny, because there's this area where I bury all of my animals that pass. And so when I went to bury them, someone digged up one of the old ones, and so I could see my old. I was
Oh,
like,
that's
oh
terrible.
shit. It's like, all right, put you back. And then another rat that I found a wild rat, and I nursed it until it died. He was out still. I thought he would be decomposed by now, but he's
Oh,
not.
God.
And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, oh my God.
That sounds terrible. I'm so
I
sorry.
know. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to dig bigger holes here and put
Yep.
rocks on top of it. So
You have to go a little wider.
yeah, I was like, but I mean, the bodies were gone. It's just more like, but I was like,
Oh,
this is new.
oh God. One of our cat, our dog, our sorry, our dogs, Mango, who's laying over here, sweet old girl. She fucking hates cats. So we had this adorable kitten, Coco, who jumped over the fence and she killed it. It was so traumatic, and she didn't know. She was like, "Look, mom, I killed the cat," and I was like,
Yeah.
we were so upset, and my husband was working, and I had to watch the poor fucking thing die. Like you couldn't even take it to the vet. Like she was done.
Hmm.
And then I had to go dig a hole in the woods. Like it was too much. It was so sad.
Yeah.
She was so sweet, and then she had a little friend Neo who we still have, and he had to like watch this poor cat get murdered, and he still tries to jump in and play with the dogs. He's crazy. Like he likes to
Stupid.
mess with them. So the two pit bulls will be like we have like a separate area because sometimes they all play too crazy. So the two pit bulls will be on one side and the cat will just like jump through and be like, try and get me and like jump up the other side. He's psycho.
Animals. They're
Yeah.
quite something.
Something else.
Yeah. See? It's like toddlers. If you leave them alone, they'll kill themselves.
Hmm.
I'm surprised how they like take care of themselves in the wild.
True. Toddlers in the wild.
Yeah, toddlers in the wild. Oh my
That sounds
God.
like a new reality show.
Mhm. Yeah. So, man, it is what it is, I guess, with the situation, but I think I really wanted to talk about this just to give people awareness. And like I said, it's not like this is somebody that I just met,
Hmm.
that I found online. I didn't know them. It's not like we were best friends. But she
Hmm.
helped me a lot, and she seemed like she genuinely cared, and she put a lot of work into it, which is why I feel like I get it. It's like having that conversation, but I don't feel like I need clearing with her. It's very obvious what happened. It's just facts are the
Yeah.
facts. I know she feels bad. I don't think, like, again, she's a bad person, which is why I don't want to go out there and the only thing I just hope is that she learned from this and that she doesn't
Mhm.
repeat that, because if you're somebody who cannot take care of themselves, this is oftentimes the issue. It's that if you don't know how to take care of yourself, then don't start taking care of somebody else. You need
Right.
to prioritize yourself. You need to learn to communicate and ask for help. And I hate that. My mom has this problem where she doesn't know how to ask for help.
Hmm.
And you actually end up becoming more of a burden for the people that love you, because it's, first and foremost, people love to help. Okay. So
Hmm.
it's like if you give somebody the opportunity to say, hey, I need help. Can you help me with this? They can say yes or no. And
Right.
I think at the end of the day, really, it stems down to them, the fear of rejection, the fear of somebody
Hmm.
saying, I cannot help you. I
They
think,
also like to be strong. Like they don't want to not be
yeah,
strong, and that's a
they
mom
don't want to
thing
become
too.
across as weak and all this sort of stuff, which is honestly like, I don't have time for it,
Hmm.
because I know how it actually is so much more worse when they are like that than actually, it takes a lot of strength to ask for help. And we need one another, whether we like it or not, we need each
True.
other. And oftentimes this stems from some kind of trauma that they haven't
Hmm.
healed again, which is why they don't ask for help. And yeah. So if you're that kind of person, just ask, man, and don't make it about you. At the end of the day, it was never about her. It was about the hamsters. So if
Yeah.
she had a hard time doing that, she should have just made it about the hamsters. Take it off yourself.
Right. So if you needed to, like, say this happened again where you needed to do something with the hamsters, like what would you do different in the future? I mean, like what could you
I
do
would just
different?
pre-prep for evacuation. I think one of the
Yeah.
things that you really got to think about, yeah, and which I still haven't done, but I am gonna do it once I get a minute.
Right.
Is
It's not
just
easy.
find like small cages or something where you can just throw them in quickly, or
Hmm.
boxes or something. Obviously, like mice and rats, you cannot put in boxes because they'll chew through that in 3 seconds. But hamsters
Hmm.
don't have very strong teeth. Um, you got to figure out an evacuation, or have like medium boxes where you can put two or three together so they have some space to separate and they won't literally kill each other. They might fight, but it's not going to be bad as having like 15 females and 10 males. It's like,
Yeah.
if they're too much together, although that's how they showed up at the shelter, by the way. That's how they had them.
Hmm.
They
Wow.
had them in two containers, all the males and all the females.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Um, but again, just prep for it, think about it, because you don't want to get to that last minute where you panic. And if you can, keep them with you. I think that's the best choice, do what you
Yeah.
can. I mean, it's inconvenient, of course, if you have to go to a hotel, or if
Yeah.
this is where it starts getting tricky, right? Because it's like, if the
Hmm.
hotel's not going to take 32 animals in,
Right.
what are
Or
you
like
going to
what if
do?
you have to like go work or something? Like, like say you get hired and
Well, I mean,
um
hamsters and rats are pretty much easy. They can, like, you just leave them with food and water.
yeah.
But like the dogs and stuff and cats are different. They need to roam. I mean, and I do let
Oh.
them out. Obviously, they do need to exercise, but they can stay in their cage for at least like 3 or 4 days, fine.
Hmm.
As long as they have food and water.
Yeah. Oh God, my babies are so needy. I left them for a couple hours today and they were like ape shit when I got home.
Yeah, dogs are different though. Dogs are a
Yeah.
completely different
They,
thing. It's
they're
like,
obsessed with us. I'm
yeah,
obsessed
they're
with
like super needy. But yeah, it's one of those things. So it's like, I mean, and again, if you live in a place where this is not likely to happen, great. But the problem is, LA is prone to fires.
them.
Atlanta is prone to flooding.
Oh God, we get tornadoes now, so
Great.
that's what I have to worry about. Although if a tornado hit the house, like we're done. Oof, that's so scary.
So I think just thinking about it and thinking ahead and prepping for it the best way you can, and then worst comes to worst, just you got to make do in situations of emergency. But yeah, it's tough.
Do your best, and honestly, who would have thought that was going to happen?
No,
Like
and that's why I was so shocked, because I was like,
I
it
was
is
shocked
so
too.
simple. It is so simple
Mhm.
to take care of them.
Yeah,
And I even told my husband, I think at the last minute she kind of threw kibble in the other cages, because yeah, but the other guys looked fine, but they were in a
yeah,
different type of cage.
yeah.
So she just probably put those cages over there, never checked. But it's just horrible, and it's sad, and it's irresponsible, and
Really.
yeah. What
It's
can
just
you
it's scary because we hope to go on a trip at some point again, and then we don't have our dog sitter, so we would have a friend like somebody we know very well come and stay with the dogs and
Yeah,
nickname them and all that jazz, and just hang out with the dogs, eat food. There's some wine, whatever. It's easy. It's
yeah,
an easy gig, but still, I stress out. Like I get very nervous no matter what. And
yeah,
I text for like photos all day and oh make sure my tiny dog comes in at night. I'm so afraid of somebody leaving him outside at night, even though we have like a fenced yard. That's like my fear.
yeah.
Oof.
I mean, I feel like the best way you can do it is just see how people treat their own pets if they have them, and that does usually help, or how they treat themselves, really. Do they take care of
Yeah.
themselves? That doesn't still mean that somebody's not a psychopath or has issues, but,
Mhm.
I think how somebody takes care of themselves or their pets says a lot, probably about how they're going to take care of yours.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'm so depressed now. I'm so I think I need a drink. Jacqueline, I'm gonna go pour some vodka. I'm
I
so sad.
know. It is really sad.
This is
But
water
you
by
know,
the
the good thing is Pluto survived. The other guys who were emaciated, they recovered really quickly because all they needed was food and water.
That's crazy.
And they're so happy now. They're like, I see him now. He's running around in his cage. Um, they're just happy to be home. You can tell.
They need their
They do
mama.
in their cages though. That is the
Oh,
that is the part that I do not recommend with hamsters. Well, one hamster is easy. The amount that I have, it takes about 5 hours to clean all their
yeah.
cages. So
Oh my God, I bet.
yeah. So yeah, guys. So I don't know what to say. You guys let me know what you think. If anybody wants to leave a comment or a question, like I said, I'm not going to reveal the person just because, again, I do think that they are still trying to do good. People do mistakes. Again, I unfollowed them. I'm not going to talk to them ever again. I'm not going to. I still have the message that I like might send if I feel it, but it's more about revenge and like trying to say, you know, like I feel like I processed the emotions now. And I'm glad I didn't send anything after it because some people do deserve though to be told off. Don't get me wrong. Like if
Right.
somebody's evil and like does bad things, but again, I sometimes good people do bad things, and sometimes good people mess up. And I really don't think she's bad. I just think that again, she has issues. She hasn't dealt with it. She didn't know how to ask for help, and she was being irresponsible at the end of the day at the cost of
Yeah.
lives. Which was so preventable, so easily preventable. It could have
Very
taken like
easy.
10 minutes, which even if you are overwhelmed to check up on a hamster, it takes you like 2 seconds.
Isn't that easier than having to tell their mom that they died, like, or that they're sick? I would much
Again,
rather
she
take
obviously
10 minutes.
didn't check up on them all week. And so
It's
when I
crazy.
was coming over, she probably checked up, and then that's when she realized one of them was dead, and then she started looking through all the cages, and then she realized all of them were dead because that's the only thing that makes sense. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Um, so, it's done now, but I'm learning from this, and that's all you can do is learn from it. And it's just hard because, like, when I go away, you do trust these people with these babies, and even if you check up on them, even the last lady with my rats, she had some health issues, and she said I wasn't able to like attend to them as much as I normally do, and she said they might
Mhm.
have lost a little bit of weight, and I'm like, that freaked me out again. And it's
Yeah.
like if something happens to you, then something happens to my babies. And if you're not in
Right.
optimal health, but again, it's so hard to find somebody who can take care of rats and hamsters and mice. So
Yeah, it's a different story. It's people aren't used to it.
yeah, so it's yeah. So again, if you guys have pets, just take into account that this is part of it. Unfortunately, every time we go to Christmas house with my husband's family, which I love every year, but then I have always the issue with like having my babies taken care of.
Mhm.
And that one week that I'm gone, I'm always thinking about them and like, I hope that they're being looked after and loved. But
No, it's tough. It's hard to like enjoy yourself.
yeah, and you can't bring them with you, obviously, especially like
Right.
these guys. I can't even
My
bring
my
my dogs.
no, my little guy, I would love to take him more, but he hates being in the car. He's scared. He hides in the little ball. He would hate being on a plane, I'm sure too, because he
Mm,
so I don't want to like torture him for for a few hours. So That's why I was like, I guess it's better if he stays with the dog sitter. But
Yeah.
I worry.
Well, that was depressing. All right.
Yeah, let's go drink. Bye, bye, everybody. It's happy hour.
Yeah. So anyway, guys, just leave a comment below if you've had any bad experiences with rescues as well, or if you have any stories to share. It's good to talk about it. I think this is something that again has people don't know. I think people are.
Oh, jeez. Sorry. Dogs.
I think it's just something that it's people are just discovering, and people are finally talking about it. So I think the more we talk about it, hopefully the more we can bring awareness to it and prevent these things from happening. And that's the best that we can do. Lido.
Bosco agrees. So Foxy was just trying to hit my corgi was trying to hit him with her butt, and that's what they were doing. She was like spinning around, like trying to hit him with her butt, which was very amusing. But she almost knocked down the table.
That would not be good. All right, guys. Well, we're going to close up, but we will talk to you soon. And again, if you have any topics or anything, let us know. Goodbye.